In the past 48 hours, a new MAGA civil war has erupted, which may shatter the fragile alliance between Trump supporters and our shadow president elect, Elon Musk, who is now being publicly targeted and roasted by top Trump confidant and insane MAGA influencer, Laura Loomer. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video, and quite frankly, it's going to be quite a bit of fun. There's a lot of schadenfreude here, because it's always great to see two terrible people and two terrible factions go to war politically with one another. It's good. America benefits from the dysfunction between Trump supporters and Elon Musk, and hopefully we will see more of it. Now, we're probably going to do multiple videos on this ongoing MAGA civil war because it actually has multiple fronts and multiple intricacies that we have to examine. But for right now, I really want to focus on the beef between Laura Loomer, a top Trump confidant, and Elon Musk, our shadow president. And to put this in context, I have to start by establishing that Laura Loomer is not fringe. Laura Loomer is not an outlier within the MAGA movement. She is a top Trump confidant. She has traveled around with him on, Trump Force One is what they call it, Donald Trump's private plane. She has been to Mar-a-Lago multiple times. She has been photographed and filmed with Donald Trump. He has called her out by name. To really establish her bona fides with the MAGA movement, I want to play you two clips of Donald Trump publicly acknowledging and praising her as a key supporter and friend.
A friend of all of ours, and this woman is amazing. Laura Loomer. Where is she? Where's Laura?
All right. That's Donald Trump at a Trump rally, mentioning Loomer by name. Then during the, very close to the election, after Loomer made headlines for insane, racist, misogynistic attacks against Vice President Harris, Donald Trump was asked about her and his relationship with her and his proximity to her. And even then, despite the heat on him, he was very reluctant to disavow even the unhinged things she happened to say.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What would you say to your Republican colleagues or your allies who are concerned about your close relationship with Laura Loomer?
Well, I don't know what they would say. Laura's been a supporter of mine, just like a lot of people are supporters, and she's been a supporter of mine. She speaks very positively of the campaign. I'm not sure why you asked that question, but Laura is a supporter.
So again, even at the height of the campaign, when it was a coin flip election and the polls were close, he was very reluctant to throw her under the bus. So anyone who tells you that Laura Loomer is an outlier, that she is a bug, not a feature, they're lying to your face. They're either really stupid or lying to you. She is, as much as Marjorie Taylor Greene, an emblem of the Republican Party under Donald Trump. Now, having established that she's not some fringe, she is wildly influential, she has the ear of the former president, the future president of the United States, it's important to emphasize how much muscle she has behind her. It means something that she and Elon Musk are publicly beefing. So this is from earlier today. Laura Loomer called into the Steve Bannon War Room podcast. Steve Bannon, another major MAGA influencer, top Trump advisor. And she had some things to say about Elon Musk. We're going to start with this one here.
Laura, real quickly, he's a free speech absolutist. The platform's supposed to be about free speech absolutism. What is your current status, ma'am? What has happened to you on that platform?
Well, if he's a free speech absolutist, why was my account suspended? Why was my verified premium account taken away from me? So if you subscribe to me, thank you for your support, but you will no longer be able to subscribe to me because Elon Musk has suspended your ability to support my work because he doesn't like what I said. If you want to verify that my account is me and it's not some troll trying to pretend to be me, you're not going to be able to verify my account anymore because I have lost my verification, my blue check, because Elon Musk doesn't like what I said. I didn't dox anybody. I posted publicly available FEC records. I didn't incite violence against anybody. I am simply trying to warn the Trump administration about something that is going to blow up in their face. And it actually has the risk of potentially getting President Trump impeached in his second term if the Democrats take back the House and are successfully able to spin and create a narrative that big tech is trying to buy influence and that they are enriching themselves in the Trump administration. I'm trying to warn them about a serious issue on the horizon, and it needs to be taken seriously because clearly the MAGA base is up in arms about this today.
So much to unpack there. Again, for context, that is a top Trump confidant, publicly speaking, with another top Trump advisor about Elon Musk and exposing his hypocrisies with respect to free speech. Elon Musk has positioned himself as a free speech absolutist. Now, I think that's an absurd position to take because no one functionally is a free speech absolutist. By definition, to be a free speech absolutist, there can be no limitations, no constraints, hate speech, violent speech. If you're a free speech absolutist, it should all be permissible. But that's why no one is I'm not a free speech absolutist. Nobody is. No sane, functioning person trying to run a sane, functioning organization or enterprise could be a free speech absolutist. It just goes to show how naive and stupid in the realm of politics Elon Musk is, that he would dare even proffer such a position when he's very clearly not. Now, am I on Laura Loomer's side in this? No, absolutely not. I think that they're both terrible. But I think it's important to not only keep an eye on this MAGA civil war, but to exploit it to the ability, to the extent that we're able to do so. So what is she talking about? Well, Mediaite has an article on this. Laura Loomer accused Elon Musk of totalitarian behavior after she and other critics of the ex-owner were stripped of their verification badges after criticizing Musk's comments on American workers and foreign H-1B visa holders. Loomer, a conspiracy theorist and loyal supporter of Donald Trump, was locked out of her X account and stripped of her verification badge. She has more than 1 million followers after criticizing Musk. New York Young Republican Club president Gavin Wax, InfoWars host Owen Schroyer, and the pro-Trump conservative PAC were also stripped of their verification badges. Quote, Musk is now admitting it's retaliation, Loomer wrote on Friday in response to a message put out by Musk. According to Musk, accounts that are, quote, found to be engaged in coordinated attacks to spam target accounts with mute blocks will themselves be categorized correctly as spam. Live by the spam, die by the spam, he wrote. Here's a copy of the tweet itself. Translation, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, Mario Nawfal wrote in response, to which Musk simply said, yes. So calling out mass migration is a stupid game, Laura Loomer wrote, so much for free speech, quite totalitarian if you ask me. And then said, X just removed all of Laura Loomer's subscribers. This is censorship. In an earlier post, Loomer accused Musk of targeting her for questioning his ties to China and criticizing his support for H-1B visas. Quote, I've always been America first and a diehard supporter of Trump, and I believe that promises made should be promises kept. Donald Trump promised to remove the H-1B visa program, and I support his policy. Now, as one of Trump's biggest supporters, I'm having my free speech silenced by a tech billionaire for simply questioning the tech oligarchy. Loomer argued salaries paid under work visas are not livable wages, and Musk stands against Trump's hardline immigration promises. Musk dismissed Loomer as simply, quote, trolling for attention, end quote, which is almost certainly true. She is a troll, she is an attention seeker, but in so many ways, so is Musk himself, right? So it's kind of the pot calling the kettle black. Quote, Loomer is trolling for attention. Ignore, he wrote in a Thursday post. Ian Miles Chong, another conspiracy theorist and troll and attention seeker, says this. It's wild to see MAGA turning against Elon, Vivek, David Sachs, etc. Wild. And that's when Elon replied, trolling for attention, ignore. Musk has found himself facing backlash from conservatives over his views on American workers. He endorsed a post that said the right is split into the tech right and the right, with the former believing American workers are too, this is a direct quote, retarded, to perform some tech jobs, meaning they need work visas to bring in foreign help. And so he liked to post to this effect. And again, that's why I said we're probably going to do multiple videos on this ongoing MAGA civil war because there's so much to unpack. But right now, what I want to focus on is the public beef, the tiff between Laura Loomer and Elon Musk, and with particular regards to free speech and the relationship that MAGA and Musk have with free speech. And spoiler alert, their relationship with free speech, both MAGA's and Musk's, are terrible. They're all hypocrites on this. They are all wildly hypocritical. Another Mediaite article on this. Musk's critics stripped a verification badge after publicly challenging the billionaire at the beginning stages of censorship. Several conservative critics of Trump surrogate Elon Musk were stripped of their verification badges on X after publicly challenging his stance on immigration. Laura Loomer, Gavin Wax, Owen Schroyer, and the pro-Trump conservative PAC were all stripped of their verification badges after criticizing Musk's controversial remarks about American workers and foreign H-1B visa holders. Okay, Musk has removed my check mark because I dared question his support for H-1B visas. Again, that's a quote from Laura Loomer. While several Musk allies claim Loomer had been stripped of her verification for changing her photo, Loomer dismissed those claims and called the move retaliation. Responding to the suggestion that her verification check was removed for an unrelated reason, Loomer wrote, I mean, right after Elon Musk called me a troll today, my account verification was taken away, my subscriptions were deactivated, and I was banned from being able to buy premium even though I was already paying for premium. Clearly, retaliation. Gavin Wax says, my verification badge is under review. Weird, didn't change anything. Insane that blue checks are being removed from accounts that have been vocal in their criticism of the H-1B racket. Horrible look. I've supported Elon and X. Anyone who is at the NYYRC Gala can attest that I dedicated a large portion of my speech to praising Elon. Sad. After being stripped of his own verification badge, Owen Schroyer expressed concern about the current situation with censorship on Musk's platform. This feels like the beginning stages of censorship on X. It feels like early age censorship on X. All of our influencers have now lost verification status as well as our own page. Our brand did nothing, said conservative PAC. We spoke out against HB1 visas and it appears that Elon Musk intentionally shut us down. Is this a new status quo from America's most free social media platform? Another affiliate of conservative PAC, Preston Para, tweeted, whoa, Elon Musk just stripped our entire organization of badges and verified org status. I guess this is what you get when you hand the keys over to, this is a quote, an autistic, power-hungry, self-aggrandizing traitor to his country. Very pathetic. X sucks. So, why am I referencing this? Well, again, a few reasons. Number one, it's really fun. Like, I've said that we need to look out for small victories and silver linings in the aftermath of the Trump win. Because Trump and Republicans won the election, Trump will become president again. Republicans will have majority control of both chambers of the United States Congress. They have a supermajority already in the Supreme Court, and they will be in a position to further entrench that if Justice Clarence Thomas and Justice Samuel Alito resign from the Supreme Court. Then Trump will be able to put two young MAGA judges, and cement MAGA control. Then it won't be just a Republican or a conservative supermajority on the Supreme Court. It would be literally a MAGA majority court. Yikes. All right. So the future is potentially very bleak. So we have to look out for, again, small victories and silver linings, and seeing MAGA fight one another. That's good. Dysfunctional MAGA is objectively good for the country because it means by definition, they're in less of a position to maximize their advantages to inflict harm on the American people. This is good. As a matter of fact, former Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger, who has been a vocal Trump critic and a vocal Elon Musk critic, also stepped into the fray, to basically throw some stones around and try to, he makes a good point, but he's also clear what he's doing. He is trying to work up this MAGA civil war as well he should. We should all be doing that. So he says, so Elon Musk stripped the blue check because someone hurt his feelings? Dude, lay off the ketamine, talk to a therapist, help the poor, retire, talk to your kids, and grow up. You're going to keep strangling this place. If you love him, great, but don't pretend he's for free speech. And that's really the first point I want to make, or that I really want to drive to, is that Elon Musk is not a free speech advocate. Elon Musk is like any other person, I would argue, except considerably worse, in that he's a hypocrite. People, here's what I believe. My belief, if you're watching, is that when you hear an influencer on the left or the right say, oh, I'm pro free speech, listen to it with a skeptical ear. Because you should then expect them to articulate what they believe free speech is and how much of an advocate they are for it. Because it's almost like hearing somebody say, oh, I'm a nonpartisan political commentator. You should be thinking, bullshit. You have your biases, you have your preferences. Don't pretend otherwise. Now, that doesn't mean that you're wrong. It doesn't mean that you're a liar, right? It's kind of like sports, right? Some sports teams are just better than other sports teams, and you can have your preferences and not be wrong when you point out that this team is better than this team, right? It's the same thing. You can have your biases. You can have a conservative bias. You can have a liberal bias, but at least be honest with that. I have a very liberal/progressive bias. I want Democrats to win elections. I want Democrats to ruthlessly seek and wield power. I want them to produce progressive legislation which benefits not only blue cities and blue states, but red cities and red states. And I make no bones about it. I don't indulge in false equivalence. I don't say, well, both sides. I make it clear that though neither side is perfect, one side is clearly preferable than the other. So on that front, when people like Elon Musk say, oh, I'm pro free speech. Free speech, free speech, free speech. I'm a free speech absolutist, which Elon Musk has publicly claimed to be. And then you don't behave that way. Well, then you're full of shit or you're stupid, right? One of the two. And again, this is kind of why I say political commentators who say that they're nonpartisan or they're not biased, but then behave in biased ways. It frustrates me and it should frustrate you. That's the point, though. Where Laura Loomer has a point about Elon Musk, as terrible as she is objectively. He's right to hate her. She's right to hate him. They're two terrible people. It's like seeing, I love the GIF which is circulating of seeing, it's almost like a Godzilla movie, seeing two kaiju, two, monsters battling it out. And it's like they both suck, right? It's better than them being allies against the rest of us. I digress, right? It's good that their attention is on one another. But where she has a point is that Elon Musk is a profound hypocrite when it comes to free speech. So many articles written about this, but I just pulled a recent one from NBC News because it's recent and it's just worth reading. So Elon Musk worries free speech advocates with his calls to prosecute researchers and critics. First Amendment advocates are concerned that Musk could use his sway as a Trump advisor to retaliate against a long list of enemies. This was after the election. In July, tech billionaire Elon Musk said he hoped some states would consider criminal prosecutions of people participating in what he called an advertiser boycott of platforms like his social media app X. In October, Musk turned his attention to a former State Department official, Victoria Nuland, saying she should be prosecuted after she went on television and criticized him as a tool of the Kremlin. And then last week, Musk revived a long-running feud with a group that monitors hatred online, the Center for Countering Digital Hate, saying that its members should be prosecuted for, quote, their many crimes. Musk, the world's richest person, has in the past 2 years called for several of his opponents to be prosecuted, and it's something that free speech advocates say they could overlook if he were only an ordinary private citizen. But now that Musk is gaining political power as a close ally of Donald Trump, his demands for criminal charges against critics are much more worrisome, according to scholars and groups devoted to the First Amendment. Quote, if Elon Musk is appointed to some position within the administration, he will continue to jawbone, pressure others to be punished for their speech, and that raises very serious free speech concerns, said Nadine Strawson, a past president of the American Civil Liberties Union and a professor of law emerita at the New York Law School. Quote, in our system, the idea of holding somebody criminally liable for something they say is so antithetical to the concept of free speech. Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX and the owner of X, has positioned himself as an intimate advisor of Trump after helping to propel the former president to a remarkable political comeback. Musk contributed at least $130 million of his own money in the megaphone of X, where he is listed as having 204 million followers. And I should also say, a forensic examination of just, on paper campaign contributions, campaign finance revealed that, he actually contributed some $270 million to the campaign based on what we know, based on what we can find. That is a staggering sum. And of course, this was also written in November before Elon Musk effectively single-handedly torpedoed a bipartisan, crucial government spending package, a continuing resolution, which is what elevated the claims that he's actually the de facto president, the de facto president-elect, this unelected MAGA billionaire. So this was before we saw him flex his muscle, his influence over the Republican Party even more. Well, Musk's actions over the past few years call into question his stated commitment to free speech. Aaron Turr, director of public advocacy at the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, said in an email. He cited X's increasing compliance with foreign governments' demands to censor content on the platform and the lawsuits against for the Center for Countering Digital Hate and Media Matters. Any disputes Musk has with his critics should play out in the court of public opinion, not a court of law, Turr said. Okay, so this is just, again, a snapshot. I mean, there's so much more to it. But the bottom line is that Musk says one thing and does another. The truth is, like many people, like most people with power, he actively wants to use that power to gatekeep. He's just more dishonest about it than most people and more partisanly ruthless about it than most people. If Elon Musk were a free speech absolutist, then he wouldn't be using lawfare to go after Media Matters or Center for Digital Hate. He wouldn't be calling for the prosecution of his political opponents or his critics. He wouldn't be doing that. He would take a principled stand and say, frustrating as this is, no, I'm not going to call for that. In fact, as a matter of fact, I would oppose prosecutions of my critics simply for being my critics. They would truly have to violate the law. In which case, I'm not targeting them because they're critics. I wouldn't even be calling for it. It would just happen to be the law system playing itself out. But that's not what he did. He specifically identified people who criticized him in the past, like, again, Victoria Nuland and others. They should be prosecuted for their crimes. Well, again, imagine if Jack Dorsey, the previous owner, the previous head of Twitter before Elon Musk bought it out, imagine if he had said that about Trump supporters. people say, oh, the Twitter files, right? The Twitter files proved that, prior to Elon Musk coming along, Twitter was basically a propaganda arm for the DNC. No, it was not. No, the Twitter files did not do that. As a matter of fact, the Twitter files along the way, try as they might to, not examine the sinister relationship between conservatives and social media. We actually know that when Trump was president the first time, he tried to pressure Twitter into censoring the speech of people he didn't like celebrity Chrissy Teigen, who insulted him on Twitter, referred to him as, quote, a pussy-ass bitch. And the Trump White House reached out to Twitter to try to get that tweet taken down. We've never heard of the Biden White House doing something similar. So censorious instincts exist on all parts of the political spectrum, right? Now, Elon Musk and MAGA would have you believe that, no, this is exclusively the province of the left. It's only Democrats who like to censor and silence people they don't like. No, censorious impulses exist everywhere. As a matter of fact, the Republican Party, the right wing in this country, have had a long and storied career, going back not even to the days of Joseph McCarthy and the Red Scare, accusing anybody if he didn't like as being a communist and trying to bring the power of the United States Congress against these people. But think about the moral censorship of conservatives in time past. Their censorship of, gay people, trans people, of women, right? I mean, it's part and parcel of the American conservative expression to try to silence or suppress people that they don't like in the form of actually relinquishing, or rather preventing them from having constitutional rights. It was a conservative notion to not enfranchise women, for women not to have the right to vote. That is perhaps one of the most fundamental forms of censorship. And it was conservatives that wanted to keep women from voting, and progressives that wanted women to vote. It was conservatives that wanted to keep black people from voting, and progressives that wanted to enfranchise black people. Even in the media. Not only do we have what Elon Musk has been doing, punishing people he doesn't like. I mean, journalists have been banned from X, even temporarily, some permanently. You have this situation, this ongoing back and forth between Musk and Laura Loomer and others. But I know growing up, when President Bush was leader of the Republican Party, Bill Maher's first show, Politically Incorrect, was canceled after he criticized the Bush-era military after 9/11. The band called the Chicks, the country music group, the Chicks, they used to be called the Dixie Chicks. They were effectively canceled after they criticized President Bush after 9/11. Conservative radio stations across the country just stopped playing their music, even though they were wildly popular at the time. That's censorship. At least the way that at least the way that Musk wants you and others want you to believe, just basically silencing or suppressing people. That happened, and that was Republicans doing that to their critics. Censorious impulses, the desire to silence or punish speech that people don't like, that exists in pretty much every aggregate in one form or another. But it's interesting because Musk said, no, I'm above all that. I'm above all that. I am a free speech absolutist. He's full of shit. He lied to you, or he's too stupid to recognize what that phrase means. One of the two. So seeing this ongoing MAGA civil war is good. It's very good. Because we're talking about people with key diametric worldviews. Obviously, they have some very key similarities as well, but their interests are not perfectly aligned. And when Musk says something that happens to deviate from the MAGA cult, he gets backlash. And he, being a malignant narcissist with thin skin, then retaliates, which only increases the backlash. And so it's a fascinating dynamic to see play out in real time. And the best that you and I can do is to continue to shine a light on it and help spread it to the best of our ability. We should be shit stirrers in that respect and continue to egg on this back and forth between the likes of Elon Musk and Laura Loomer, MAGA and the Musk movement, this tech right-wing bro movement, David Sachs, Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk, and others, because, again, united, they pose a very serious threat to this country. But that threat is diminished if they're constantly fighting one another, and it could put Donald Trump in a position to choose between his diehard supporters or the likes of Elon Musk. And putting pressure on Trump is also objectively good because either decision he makes, if he has to choose between them, will severely diminish the MAGA movement as a whole, which again is objectively good for this country. So I have no idea how it's going to end, but we should enjoy it while it lasts and continue to feed it to the best of our ability. And in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.